casino, a labyrinth built of neon and desire, is a meticulously designed social black hole. It not only devours individual wealth but also insidiously erodes the very foundations of society. When we discuss the harms of gambling, we often focus on the personal tragedies of those who lose everything, yet rarely do we delve into the systematic, almost irresistible mechanisms of societal destruction behind it. It is a precision meat grinder, pulling in human weaknesses, familial warmth, community vitality, and even the economic structure of a nation, grinding them to dust. It all begins at a seemingly fair gaming table, with a smiling dealer and traps hidden deep within the rules and operations that countless people overlook. Staying vigilant against common casino scams is not alarmist rhetoric but a survival instinct every person stepping into this land of vice must possess. Below are several typical cases. Merely the tip of the iceberg, yet enough to glimpse the full scope of the abyss. First, we must address a device increasingly prevalent in modern casinos: the automatic shuffling machine, particularly the continuous shuffling machine, CSM. When you sit at a table and notice the dealer no longer shuffles by hand but feeds used cards into a machine, only to draw new ones from the other end, you should stand up and leave immediately. Never play at a table with a continuous shuffling machine, as its card shoe seems to never run out. An endless shoe, powered by a continuously operating machine, is the perfect embodiment of the casino's profit maximization and one of the most unfair setups for players. Avoid it at all costs. Why? The reasoning is straightforward, but its impact is devastating. In traditional blackjack or other card games, a complete shoe, typically 6 to 8 decks, is played through before the dealer pauses for a full, observable shuffle. This process is not just a brief respite. More importantly, it offers skilled card counters a theoretical window of advantage. By tracking high cards, A, 10, J, Q, K, and low cards, counters can gauge the composition of the remaining shoe and increase bets when the odds favor them. This math and memory-based strategy, though despised by casinos, gives players a slim chance to overcome the house edge. However, the CSM obliterates this possibility. It randomly reinserts used cards into the deck, making each hand nearly an independent probabilistic event. Card counting becomes meaningless, as predicting the next card's value is impossible. Players are stripped of any intellectual or strategic leverage, left to rely solely on luck. And in a game of pure chance, the house, with its inherent mathematical edge, always wins. But this is not the most sinister part. The deeper harm of CSMs lies in their ability to drastically accelerate the game's pace. Traditional shuffling takes several minutes, providing players a valuable, cooling-off period. They can stretch, take a sip of water, clear their heads, and reassess their financial and mental state. This natural breakpoint offers a chance to step back from the hypnotic state of gambling. With a CSM, however, the game is relentless. One hand ends, and the next begins immediately, suffocatingly fast. This high-speed mode causes the number of hands played per unit of time to grow exponentially. Casinos know their profits don't come from a single hand's outcome but from the small, consistent house edge over a large sample size. The more hands you play, the more your money is exposed to that edge, and the faster you lose. In an hour, you might play through what would have taken 3 hours in the past, tripling your rate of financial bleed. This accelerated loss hits the gambler's psyche hard. There's no time to process losses or adjust strategies, only a numbing, mechanical repetition of betting. This pace drains mental stamina, leading to more impulsive, erroneous decisions in exhaustion. When losses outpace psychological tolerance, a demon called chasing losses takes over. You start betting recklessly, hoping to recover, but it's like drinking poison to quench thirst, hastening your slide into bankruptcy. The CSM is a ruthlessly efficient juicer, indifferent to your enjoyment, designed to squeeze every cent from your pocket in the shortest time possible. More terrifying still, this mechanized, cold process is fundamentally altering the nature of casinos. It transforms a human-to-human contest into a hopeless battle against an infallible machine. You no longer face a flesh-and-blood dealer who might err but a tireless, perfectly rational device. This dehumanization strips gambling of its last vestiges of fun and humanity, turning it into pure financial harvest. In such an environment, players are more likely to feel powerless and fatalistic, as if their losses are predestined. This psychological manipulation further erodes confidence and rationality, making players more susceptible to addiction and eventual ruin. When society's entertainment venues adopt such efficient wealth extractors on a large scale, the ripple effects are dire. Thousands of individuals spiral into financial ruin faster, families break apart, social welfare systems buckle under the strain, and gambling-related crimes like theft and embezzlement surge. This is no longer mere entertainment gone awry, but a systematic transfer of wealth from countless ordinary households into the coffers of a few gambling conglomerates. It's a war without visible smoke, and the CSM is the casino's coldest, most efficient heavy weapon. So, the next time you see that silently humming black machine, remember, it's not serving you, it's digging your grave. Next, we turn to another storied and alluring casino game, roulette. With its elegant spin and seemingly random outcomes, roulette draws countless dreamers chasing instant riches. Yet, beneath this elegance lies a hidden space for manipulation. Thus, we must understand key precautions for playing roulette. The most critical is a rule in many tightly regulated casinos. Dealers are forbidden from looking at the wheel when releasing the ball. Why? The reason is simple. An experienced dealer, especially a 20-year veteran, repeats the same motion daily, spinning the wheel and tossing the ball with a specific speed and angle. Over time, their muscles develop precise memory. When a seasoned dealer releases the ball, their control may rival Stephen Curry's mastery of three-point shots. This isn't mysticism, but the result of biomechanics and long-term training. They may not pinpoint an exact number, but they can adjust arm strength, wrist angle, and timing to land the ball in a general area, say, a quarter or half section of the wheel. This skill, known in gambling circles as the dealer signature, is a formidable tool. Picture this. At a roulette table, heavy bets pile up on specific numbers or a section. If the dealer, while tossing the ball, locks eyes on the wheel's chip distribution, their brain subconsciously processes this information. Then, their trained muscle memory kicks in. Driven by instinct or a subtle cue from the pit boss, they might throw the ball to avoid the heavily bet area, minimizing the casino's risk and securing profits. For players, this is blatant deception. You think you're betting against a random physical system, but you're actually up against a human brain with elite throwing skills. Your odds of winning shrink to near zero. How can you counter this? There's a simple yet effective tactic. As the dealer picks up the ball to toss, loudly and clearly shout, "Dealer, look at me." This disrupts their focus instantly. Per casino protocol, they must respond to a customer's call, shifting their gaze from the wheel to you. In that moment, as they toss the ball while looking at you, their pre-established rhythm and muscle preparation tied to the wheel's layout are thrown off. Without visual reference or focus, the toss becomes truly random, significantly reducing their ability to target a specific area. This shifts control back to pure physical probability. You may still lose, but at least you're losing to chance, not a calculated scam. This small act carries meaning far beyond a single roulette spin. It exposes a core secret of casino operations. They exploit every legal or gray area tactic to maximize their edge. Beyond the mathematical advantage baked into the rules, they leverage human psychological and physiological vulnerabilities. That veteran dealer may not act maliciously. Their signature might just be an unconscious professional habit. But casino management knows its value and reinforces it through incentives or scheduling. This subtle manipulation of human nature permeates every corner of the casino, from timeless lighting and decor to free alcohol that dulls your rationality, to small wins that lure you into bigger risks. It's all a giant psychological trap. When this systematic manipulation combines with individual gambling addiction, the destruction multiplies exponentially. A gambling addict's cognition distorts severely. They start believing in superstitions, lucky numbers, lucky seats, or that they can predict outcomes. This illusion of control is a hallmark of gambler psychology. Phenomena like the dealer signature exploit and amplify this illusion. When players lose, they might blame the dealer's precise control, feeling their failure stems from external interference rather than bad luck or poor strategy. This fuels a defiant urge to beat the dealer, leading to bigger bets and deeper traps. Conversely, a rare win might convince them they've cracked the dealer's pattern, spurring overconfident betting. Win or lose, the casino uses information asymmetry and psychological manipulation to bind players to the table. These microscams within the casino ripple outward to society. A person drained by gambling loses more than money. They lose credit, borrowing from friends, banks, or loan sharks, unable to repay. They lose jobs, exhausted from late-night gambling or embezzling to cover debts. They lose families, as lies, fights, and financial strain shatter trust and love. Ultimately, they lose dignity and hope, becoming societal outcasts. When thousands of such cases converge, they form a massive social catastrophe. The cells of society, families, necrotize en masse. Its cornerstone, trust, crumbles. Gambling-related debt disputes, domestic violence, fraud, and theft skyrocket, draining public safety resources. Meanwhile, social welfare and healthcare systems shoulder heavy burdens to aid afflicted gamblers and their families. A gambling-riddled society is like a termite-infested dam, seemingly intact but hollowed out, at risk of collapse. Casinos extract real wealth and output poverty, crime, and despair. It's a losing deal, and society pays the crushing price. Gambling's destruction doesn't stop at economics or public safety. Its deeper corrosion lies in distorting societal values and cultural psychology. A healthy society cherishes labor, creativity, knowledge, and cooperation. Wealth and self-worth come from hard work and ingenuity, driving progress. But gambling culture promotes the opposite: unearned gains, opportunism, and overnight riches. Casinos are marketed as dream factories, magical stages where ordinary people can leap class barriers. Media and films glorify gambling gods and casino kings, portraying gambling as a thrilling, intelligent adventure while ignoring its ruinous abyss. This narrative seduces impressionable youth, who grow disillusioned with steady work and patient wealth building, fantasizing about a lucky bet changing their fate. When this speculative mindset becomes a cultural norm, society's innovation and productivity suffer. People shun foundational, long-term labor for the fruitless allure of gambling tables and lotteries. Society grows restless, short-sighted, and consumed by unrealistic dreams of instant wealth. More insidiously, the gambling industry often entwines itself with governmental power to legitimize its actions. Offering hefty tax revenues and job creation as bait, it secures legal status and lacks regulation. Cash-strapped local governments view casinos as economic stimulants, but this is a poisoned chalice. Casino taxes largely come from local residents' pockets, a mere internal wealth shuffle, not new value. These revenues pale against the social costs of gambling's fallout: increased policing, judicial, healthcare, and welfare expenses. The jobs casinos create are mostly low-skill, low-wage service roles, contributing little to regional human capital. Worse, when governments rely on gambling revenue, they hesitate to regulate strictly, even tacitly enabling its unchecked growth. This regulatory capture turns public authorities, meant to protect citizens, into de facto partners of gambling capital. Laws and policies tilt toward casinos, sidelining public welfare. When a society's institutions endorse an industry with such negative externalities, their credibility and moral foundation erode. Another growing concern is the youthification and digitization of gambling. With internet advancements, traditional casinos are being supplanted by more accessible, covert online gambling platforms. A smartphone now grants anyone, anytime, anywhere, entry to a virtual gambling world. These platforms are craftier than physical casinos, using big data to analyze user behavior and push tailored bonuses and rewards to drive spending. They gamify and socialize gambling with flashy interfaces, stimulating sounds, and virtual interactions, masking its predatory nature and lowering psychological barriers. For impressionable teens, this is deadly. What starts as a fun game can trap them in gambling's web. Lacking a mature sense of money's value, they easily lose themselves in virtual wins and losses, sometimes stealing from parents or resorting to illegal means for funds. Online gambling's rise is breeding a new generation of problem gamblers, planting a ticking time bomb for society's future. Gambling addiction, formally recognized as a mental disorder, pathological gambling or gambling disorder, shares striking similarities with drug and alcohol addiction. A win floods the brain with dopamine, creating intense pleasure and excitement. This positive reinforcement drives repeated gambling to recapture the high. Over time, the brain builds tolerance, requiring bigger, more frequent bets for the same rush, escalating wagers and frequency. Losses, meanwhile, trigger crushing despair and anxiety, pushing gamblers back to the table to break even and escape negative emotions. This cycle, wanting more wins, chasing losses, traps them in an inescapable spiral. Neuroscience reveals that gambling disorder alters brain structure and function. The prefrontal cortex, critical for decision-making, impulse control, and rational thought, shows reduced activity, impairing self-control. Even knowing the catastrophic consequences, addicts can't stop. Meanwhile, the brain's reward center becomes hyperactive, craving gambling-related cues like casino sounds or card images. This explains why gambling addiction is so hard to break. It's not just willpower but a dysfunction of brain circuitry. Society's stigmatization of gambling addiction complicates matters. Many view it as personal weakness or moral failure, not a treatable medical condition. Shame and fear deter addicts from seeking help, leaving them to suffer alone. Families, often ignorant of the disorder's nature, resort to blame or punishment, worsening the addict's distress and driving them deeper into gambling for fleeting relief. A civilized society should build robust intervention and treatment systems, professional counseling, helplines, support groups, and promote public education to destigmatize gambling addiction. Only by treating it as a public health issue, not a moral failing, can we curb its spread and save those ensnared, along with their families. Back to that seemingly innocent gaming table. Whether it's a continuous shuffling machine or a dealer subtly influencing outcomes, these are but small cogs in the vast machinery of the gambling industry. Yet, these meticulously designed cogs, exploiting human weaknesses, form a colossal machine capable of societal devastation. Fueled by greed and wishful thinking, it thrives on broken families and ruined lives, churning out blood-soaked profits. It sells false hope while exacting a real, devastating toll. Promises opportunity while laying countless traps. Thus, reflecting on gambling cannot stop at urging individuals to cherish life, avoid gambling. We must adopt a broader, systemic perspective. We must ask, why does our society allow a zero-sum, even negative-sum, industry to flourish under the guise of entertainment and economic growth? Why do our laws and regulations seem so feeble against powerful gambling capital? Why is our culture subtly infiltrated by values of opportunism and unearned wealth? Societies can crumble in many ways: war, plague, economic collapse. But gambling's spread is a stealthier, more enduring destruction. It lacks war's roaring cannons yet fills families with conflict smoke. It has no clear virus like a plague, yet spreads like a mental contagion. It avoids the dramatic crashes of economic crises, yet acts as a relentless pump, steadily draining society's wealth and vitality. It dismantles trust, corrodes values, and saps future potential. A nation addicted to gambling is a nation without hope. A society that tolerates its spread is a society marching toward decline. So, the next time you see a casino's dazzling neon lights, don't be swayed by their superficial glamour and bustle. See the souls who, with one misstep, fell into the abyss. See the families shattered by a loved one's addiction. See the society, slowly hollowed out by this harmless entertainment. That cry of, "Dealer, look at me," isn't just a self-preservation tactic at the roulette table. It's a clarion call for society to confront the gambling industry. We must look at it clearly, scrutinize it, expose it, and restrain it, rather than closing our eyes and letting it lead us to ruin. In this gamble against gambling, if we, as a collective, start to lose, we risk losing everything.